Hi.
Hello. Didn't see you there.
Didn't see you there. Welcome to 2023. This is the Little Lore Games featuring Romel's biceps. Wait, hold on. We gotta start this right.
Those New Year's resolutions in action.
Look at that. Just look at that. This is what you do when you're a king and you're just like know how to like when you're just like on top of your creation game. You're just like creating stories while you do curls. You know what I mean?
No wonder he
flex
never
all the
gets
muscles,
any,
you know?
No wonder he never gets any drawings done. He's always working on his arms.
Whatever, man. If that's what I got to do to see my toes again.
I gave up on my toes many years ago, man.
I know. Going to the bathroom is just a guessing game at this point, isn't it?
Not if you do a hula dance, then you can see everything. You just gotta
dance. Oh, hula dance.
What?
You just have to like shake a little till you can see where you're going.
Exactly.
Man, this did not take long. I'm just saying.
And Flint's surprised.
I I don't know why.
Sorry, I bring the debauchery.
And that was a great
That's why we keep
2023,
you around.
everybody. See you next year.
Bye.
Oh man, how was everybody? How was everyone's New Year's Eve and Christmas and all that good stuff?
Oh, it's fun.
Yeah.
Man, really good. Yeah.
I got
Awesome.
a call from my sister today that one of the attendees at the New Year's Eve party has COVID. And since I have a head cold, my wife has a head cold, my mother and father have a head cold, and my sister all have a head cold. So we all had to go get tested.
Oh, good.
None of us have COVID.
Oh no. Well,
So-
there's better luck next time.
Yeah, I know.
That's because the flu is making a comeback.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. It's
Andrew,
magic, man.
can you
It's
say
magic.
comorbidity?
Oh!
No, Avery. That's what the peeps are for. Wait, Andrew, do you have the peeps? He took a picture. Did
Oh,
he
dear
send you guys
God.
this picture? Ramel, did he send this to you? This
Send me
man
what?
took a picture of food and sent it to me. Look at this.
I
Hold on.
found-
Wait. Let me wait. I got a pen. Let's do this.
I found Dr. Pepper Peeps.
Oh no.
Disgusting.
Yes.
Absolutely
gross,
not.
dude.
Does that not sound absolutely freaking horrible?
You
I
bought
can't
it.
wait.
You supported this.
Yes, I did. And I'm going to eat them on a live, or I'm going to taste test them on a live stream. I just don't know when or where. So
This is the
And you're
worst.
still. I never mind. I was gonna have. I had a very bad taste joke, and I'm not. I'm actually gonna be nice, and I'm gonna skip it. And it wasn't even a shot at Andrew. It wasn't even a shot at Andrew.
Wow.
Yeah.
Progress.
That sounds terrible. Ugh.
actually, the hot tamale one was pretty terrible.
Oh.
Oh,
God.
God.
It's hot tamale.
Who besides
was
you,
actually-
obviously? Who
It
buys
was like
this
cinnamon.
shit? I said besides you. We know you do.
Andrew's the test subject, dude.
You're the one guy single-handedly keeping Peeps afloat.
I
in this
know.
company.
Andrew, bro, you gotta. I know you're doing it for the clicks, but you know what? Like, ice bucket challenge, bro. Like,
They did that one year too. What are you talking about?
anyway, quick introductions. Really quick to my this way. We've got the one and only Dusty Sky. What's up, man? How are you? Community
Good,
manager for
good.
Adult Fantasy, and does a whole lot more than that. But that's his
A
title.
whole lot more.
Yeah, a little bit.
Little bit. Yeah, fantastic. How you doing, Todd?
Good, man. Good. It's been a long time since I've seen you.
Long time. It's not
Something
like
like
we
3
do
minutes
meetings
ago.
all day, every day or anything.
Yeah,
you
we
know.
just basically stay on Zoom all day. It's pretty much the way
Yeah.
it works. Yeah. Well, good. Welcome. I love your avatar. You know that.
Hot
It,
dogs.
it's your personality. It works.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, welcome. And to my this way is Zacharium, aka Zachary Arbella, 13 times novelist in the fantasy space, also the author of the adult fantasy upcoming adult fantasy novel. What's up, man? How are you?
I am highly caffeinated right now,
Awesome.
so I'm I'm trying to time it so that the crash comes just when I have to go to bed. Very fine process, and it's probably not going to help by the fact that I'm about to consume an entire bottle of red wine.
Nice.
Yeah. So if I start speaking in tongues later on during this session, know that I'm not having a religious experience. I'm just probably really drunk.
Cool. as any professional author should be.
Actually, believe it or not, I've tried writing one drunk. But I just fall asleep at the keyboard. I'm not Hemingway. Although supposedly there was a there's a British duo, who did a show called The Mighty Boosh. You may have heard of it or not.
Love The Mighty Boosh. Of course.
Because if you ever seen that show, you get the impression that these guys must be on something when
They
they were
on something. That show was not done sober.
No, actually it was. They actually asked the guys about it once. They said, no, we tried writing it once on acid, but we just spent we just spent 3 hours staring at a crack in the floor.
At least they tried. They put the effort in.
Yeah. It wasn't written on drugs, but it could have been.
I think that's fair, as long as they tried.
Yeah.
As long as they tried. Well, good. Welcome. Great to have you. We got some good, man. This year's going to be badass. We got so much planned. Oh my God. And in this corner over here, world-class storyteller, future filmmaker, Ramel Davis. How you doing, brother?
I'm actually well. It is good to be among my fellow nerds. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to some positive things in this upcoming new year, and I really hope to share them with you as well.
Awesome, man. Yeah, for sure, man. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a hard year, but I think it's going to be a good year. If that makes sense.
I don't believe it hard. I'm just saying a lot of hard work is going to go into this year.
Fair enough. I like that. That's a good outlook, man. Yep. Welcome, brother.
It's porn, isn't it, Ramel?
That's the hard work. Pulsing,
long and hard.
throbbing.
There's a reason he's being vague. It's porn.
Yeah. He's already been there.
You notice there's no denial.
Oh, was I on mute? Oh crap!
I will neither confirm nor deny.
It's porn.
Yeah. We'll look forward to Waterbed Stories Volume 1. Anyway.
That's actually a very good title. I'm writing that down.
God.
Avery, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm okay. I'm alive.
Yeah. I feel the same way. That's good. We're here.
Yeah.
All right. And Avery, so anyone that's been checking out Discord, Avery's been sending up those updates with that Hina sketch, and it's freaking freaking dope.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that thing is awesome.
I'm gonna go with some of the suggestions people gave me when I asked what to do next too. I'm gonna do some more characters.
Awesome. Yeah, it's really, really good, man. It's so dope. Super inspiring. Well, welcome. Avery is also, you may know his work. He's a professional illustrator, done work for Image Comics and Heavy Metal Magazine, White Wolf Publishing and RPGs. And he also is the illustrator and artist of the Origin Comic #1, which we minted out in December. And he'll be doing a lot of stuff this year. So I'm super excited about that.
I'm looking forward to it.
So good, dude. It's awesome. Well, welcome, sir. Andrew.
Dusty, put your mute on. Your keyboard's really loud.
That's not me.
That wasn't you?
Who's typing?
It's not me.
It's probably Zach. He's writing a script.
He's on
Andrew,
mute.
how are you?
I'm on mute. Well, I wasn't then, but I am now.
Okay.
must be
Can you guys hear me?
We can now.
You can hear me now?
Can hear you.
Yeah, my mute button's not working. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Oh no.
Glad you're paying attention, sir. It's cool. No worries.
I was gonna say we're gonna get some great Dusty, candid moments when he starts telling us what he really feels about Todd.
Really.
Doesn't realize he's not on mute.
Andrew, how was your New Year's?
I had 5 days off in a row, and it was freaking weird. What the heck just happened?
I didn't do that. I think Dusty did that.
Dusty.
Let's change this. There we go. I did not touch anything.
We're really nailing this right out.
Yeah, it's good. It's the first year. It's the first show of the year. We're good. We're great. We're fine.
But my wife and my mother-in-law got together and surprised me with a birthday gift. My wife and I are going to escape on a 3-4 night cruise in like 2 weeks. We're gonna sail out of Cape Canaveral, head over to the Bahamas, and just get away from everything for a little while. So
awesome. Were you just gonna kind of cruise around?
Yeah. Planning on I don't have an updated passport, so I'm not getting off the boat. But maybe do some gambling, maybe do some, go to the dance clubs and watch people and
getting off the boat.
Comedy clubs.
Honestly, in my opinion, getting off the boat is overrated.
Yeah, we did it one time, and that we'll just stay on the boat.
Yeah, people could mistake you for an island or something. So.
God damn. Jeez. What? I have no words.
But should we, Todd? But should you and I really be laughing?
No, not at all.
I mean, not really.
Not really.
Fucker. But I already. The best part about this evening is I already got my video for tomorrow completed and ready to go. I just need to upload it, and that means as soon as I say goodbye to you assholes, I'm going right to bed.
That's awesome. And just so everybody knows, Andrew has a phenomenal comic shop in Jacksonville, Florida, at the Beach Boulevard Flea Market called Misfit Corner Comics. You got to go. You got to go check it out. He's also a writer and illustrator, a graphic novelist. His latest book is called Hero Volume 3, which will hopefully be done soon. But, brilliant things take time, and we all get that. A
little bit of time.
It's okay. It's fine.
I have a kid that comes into my store with his dad, and every time he comes in, he asks me if I have copies of my book yet. And I tell him, I said, no, not yet, but keep asking me, because one of these days I will.
That's right.
He literally walks in the door and I say, no, I don't have it yet.
That's awesome. And then he walks out and doesn't buy anything.
Yeah.
It's
all right.
Well, welcome, Andrew. Good to see you again, as always.
Thank you. It's always good to be here.
Flint, what's up, man?
Hey, man, I'm doing pretty good.
Flint is the co-founder of Adult Fantasy, or as if you didn't know. How was your New Year's, man?
Man, it's real good. I'm feeling very well rested and ready to knock some shit out this year.
Awesome. Yeah, so on Monday we have our peep show, our quarterly peep show, which is our Ramel's eyebrows go up. It's a peep show is our quarterly behind the scenes town hall meeting where we show people give them a sneak peek of what we're going to be doing in the coming quarter and what we've accomplished in the past. So yeah, we're going to be divulging some really awesome things that we have coming up this year. We spent I know Dusty's having technical problems, but Dusty, if you can hear, if you can pop in, is it true? We spent a lot of work before Christmas and New Year's, in meetings, figuring out next year's stuff, right, guys? Like Flint and Dusty.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. I think Dusty's
got some cool stuff.
Yeah. No, we did tens of hours of meetings planning out the entire year.
Yeah, it's awesome, and so we're already we hit the ground running. We've just been head down grinding. So we have a lot of stuff coming up. It's gonna be pretty awesome. Which brings me to tonight, because tonight we want to do something a little different. We have some awesome upgrades that we're gonna be doing to lore games over the coming weeks. And one of the things that we wanted to try tonight, so I'll put it like this. One of the things that we experimented with over the break was using ChatGPT. If you haven't heard about it, it's an AI. It's I want to call it an AI text editor, but it's so much more than that. It's a literary AI app. So you type in something and it gives you something. But it's super deep. It's been around for a while in beta. I've known about it for a couple of years. But it's finally public, and so we started playing with it, and it's been giving us great results. We started putting in lore games prompts into it, like how we build the lore games, like our instructions, our rules, the rules that we play by, putting it into chat GPT and getting awesome responses. And so one of the things that we want to use it for, we're not using it to like magically write stories or anything like that. Like that's not the point. But what is the point is that we can use this tool as a brainstorming tool. And what we'd like to do is create a multiple choice environment so that the team here on camera can come up with things, chat here live can come up with things. And then for people who miss the show or can't make it at our time on Eastern time, well, there'll be a Discord channel where we can actually post all the questions and post all the responses. And there's a vote mechanism so that there's a constant feedback loop throughout the entire week. And then next week we can come back and actually just pick the winners and discuss it and come up with a solution and move forward, right? So we're going to be using that for like all of the lore, the written lore going forward. Like we're going to integrate it. We tested it, extensively. It works awesome. We'll use it for books and comics and everything else. Tonight, though, and we haven't tried this before, so it's going to be a little winging it tonight. But what we want to do is we want to start at the very, very top of adult fantasy and really dive into the World Bible. So we have a World Bible. It's not public yet, but we want to make it public. And so we were like, well, we still have things to fill out within the World Bible. So why not just open it up, be transparent, and have you guys like KG and Galaxy and everybody else like hop in and we can actually make the World Bible together. And then we'll have a document that can be put out that everybody can utilize and kind of wrap their heads around and say, oh, okay, well, here's everything that's going on. Because there's a lot of stuff in there that we haven't even talked about, but it's been in there for like over a year now. And so we just need to finish it off. So we're going to jump in and we're going to talk about it. We're going to have a little bit of a structure to it. But I'm going to share a screen and we will jump in. KG says, love it. AI is so amazing. Yeah, man. Once you see how we've been using it, it's pretty banging. All right. In fact, you know what? Let me do this because I forgot that screen, while it's better for me, it's actually worse for you guys just in terms of aspect ratio.
You want to hear something funny, Todd?
1 second. Yeah, go for it.
Today I was on a conference call with my boss and I had to screen share with him and he got to see his own icon for the first time on a screen. And he was like, oh, now that I see it, it's a little scary. I'm going to change it. And I said, yeah, it looks a little freaky. He says, you know what? That's an AI generated piece of art. I said, you're kidding me.
Yep.
Yeah, he actually was playing with one of the AI and created an icon of himself.
Yep.
And then what's so funny is this chat thing that you're getting ready to share with everybody.
Yep.
He was showing me, he's like, oh, let me show you how you can actually you can write Python code and SQL code with it.
People are using
use it.
It's so strong that people are already using it to pair code to code pair.
I told him about what we did last Thursday, and he was like, yeah, I bet it was this chat thing. I said, I don't remember the name of it. I don't pay attention to that stuff. It's my friend Todd. I just right over my head. But yeah, it was the same exact thing.
Yeah, so yeah. There's going to be. I mean, this thing is going to take over Google, unless Google comes up with something that matches it, which I'm sure they will because they don't want to lose market share. All right, so here's what we got. Now on the left, I just created a blank document just so that we can play with some ideas tonight. And on the right is Chat GPT. Do not worry, I will make it bigger so that we can read everything when we start doing stuff. So here's the thing: a World Bible or a Bible deck basically goes through, it has several sections, and basically what it does is it gives an overview and a concept and kind of a peek into the scope of the world. So things like tone and style, or concept, or kind of like the scenario, like, is this if it's a zombie world, then maybe it would be like the zombie plague, and you would talk about that, and because all these things affect the world, right? So what we want to do is we actually want to talk about our world and figure out some of the points. Now we have some things that I have in my head anyway from past lore games when we were doing the season 1, when we were doing the kind of the making up all the stories, right? Remember when we were making up all these stories and when we went in to the Primordials backstory and started focusing, but before that we had like a lot of stuff. Let's jump in. So the first thing we should talk about is let's talk about the tone and style. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down tone and style. And I'm actually going to read the old, or I shouldn't say old, but the current tone and style for adult fantasy, and see if it, and if we need to change it, we can change it. And if we want to adjust it, we adjust it. Yep. Oh, there's a feedback. Someone's got feedback. Test. Who's got feedback?
Maybe mute everybody.
I think it's Dusty.
Test. No. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Test. It's Ramel.
Oh, I got feedback?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just mute mine.
All right. Sorry, bud. So we're gonna do tone and style. So we have the visual world is reminiscent of like early comics. The framing of the characters is bold and clean. The look and feel bygone era, but we want to do it modern. What's interesting is when we started adult fantasy, it was kind of focused on the parody, but as we actually started working on it, it kind of became a little bit more, I don't want to say serious, but more of like a like action oriented, which I think is pretty cool. So I kind of like that, where it can have like some like traditional elements of like comics and have that blockbuster action feel, but still have a sense of humor and not take itself so seriously, which I think is kind of the secret sauce of adult fantasy, right? You can do really, if the character design is light, right, and kind of funny, or there's the characters themselves have some humor in their build and their DNA, then even when they do really serious stuff, it still has a humorous element, or it has a lighter element, which is pretty cool. But the other thing that's interesting is like, we've talked about some inciting events, things that triggered this world, right? Some of the things we've talked about are the primordial, right? So I'm going to write down primordial, and I know you can't see this, so can I make this bigger? Let's see if I can make this bigger for you guys. Just make it as big as I can. I know, first show of the year, it's okay. We've got the primordial. That's an inciting event. We also have the gloam, right, which is this dome that was placed on top of the city. So we need to talk about like what happened, like why that happened. We also want to talk about, we have some things about the status quo and like the people that inhabit the city, and so we should talk about all of this stuff. So I'm going to jump in. I'm just going to pick something. Let's talk about this. Why was the gloam put up around the city?
If
And
I
so-
recall,
How about it gets put up? Okay,
Sorry, buddy.
I remember we talked about like Hyper Brooklyn ends up as like an island in the sky with maybe some other smaller parts. That's when the dome gets put on it.
Well, actually, I think Todd, when you and I were plotting out the original first novel was supposed to be about Hurricane Steel and how he came to be. I think the idea we came up with was that there was a cult in Brooklyn, I think the idea we came up was that, and this is I think what we came up with in the in an earlier lore game, is that due to the actions of this cult, basically all possible realities of Brooklyn within the multiverse,
Yep,
were smushed together into a single reality. So so all the possible lives everyone there could have possibly led, in one life you're a hero, the other life you're a nobody. We're all compressed into one life. And in order to protect the rest of the world from this happening in the rest of the world, essentially, Hurricane Steel used a experimental device created by Stanwell to essentially seal off Brooklyn, basically a multiverse version of Brooklyn away from the real, away from the actual world. So there are actually two Brooklyns, like Hyper Brooklyn, which is kind of like in a parallel dimension in which all possible realities of Brooklyn are compressed into like one Brooklyn, which explains why it's so weird. And then a regular Brooklyn kind of existing above or beneath it, which is the Brooklyn we know. And there's like, I think the idea we came up with was that there were a couple of entrances, one of them in Red Hook, and I forget where the other one was.
Right. Cool. So let's try this. And so the other thing was, so the cult is in Brooklyn, all possible realities, the great smushing, variant dimensions, compressed into one like time. Hurricane used a device from Stanwell to lock off Hyper Brooklyn away from the normal Brooklyn. Hyper Brooklyn contains all Brooklyns, which I think is pretty cool. How did it? So that's the first part, but I feel like that was definitely the thing that Zach and I had talked about, and we'd kind of figured out in one of those war games. Pandemic. Oh, Ramel, here I'll be quiet, and you if you want to express that. No, you don't want to worry about it. Pandemic. That could be cool. Yeah. So there can be, the other thing is like inside of this globe. So from a game perspective, not that we want to look at adult fantasy as a game, but if you were looking at Hyper Brooklyn as a game board, you could almost imagine it looking like a chessboard where each square could actually be a different, almost like a TARDIS, like a completely different thing, different type of land. Like you could have a prehistoric land or the caves, the mines. Like think about like because we're all old school, like you could think of it as like the Street Fighter 2 location backgrounds, right? Like, yeah, see, that got Ramel. So like you had India, and you had all these different the army base, you had all that kind of stuff. Well, we could create that because each area could be a completely different time period, place, whatever, right? So you go from the Blade Runner area, the super sci-fi cyberpunk area, to something that was prehistoric if you wanted. So it gives us kind of a lot to play with. But the other thing, and this was to Avery's point, one of the things that we came up with before that I thought was really fascinating was like, how it like actually lifted off the ground and almost had this tension pull, because we had this kind of this Unicron. At one point in our lore game story, we had this Unicron like character, basically this moon-sized Galactus, come in, and the gravitational pull actually had ripped out the globe and ripped out Brooklyn, so that was almost like hovering. I don't know if we want to keep that or what, but I wanted to at least, and maybe it's not something we do right now. It could always be something later. But I remember that was something, and I know that Avery brought it up, so I wanted to bring it up. What do you guys think?
Yeah, we could set it to where if your story or game is taking place in a certain point, it's here. It's up in the sky. If not, it's
cool. All right.
Well, I think the idea. I just think it looks cool.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I still really enjoy that idea.
Yeah, I do too. I like the idea that there's this giant tension battle and that it's floating. It's kind of, or at least maybe it's like even if it's off the ground like a little bit. It doesn't have to be 100 feet in the air. What if it was only off the ground like 100 feet or something? I don't know. Or maybe in the middle of the sky. How can we? So let's try this. Let's mess with Chat GPT a little bit, and we'll get some options. So now what we have to do is we gotta take these notes and we gotta input it into Chat GPT as a sentence so it can understand what the hell we're talking about, and then we can ask it for some options. Let's just now, Flint. I'm going to rely on you just a little bit. Actually, maybe even Andrew and Flint, or any of you guys. You're all great storytellers. So like, let's frame this into a like concise sentence so that we can ask it a question, because we want to give it some options. Let's see, like Hyper Brooklyn. Hyper Brooklyn is a how do we describe this? Colton is a slice of Brooklyn. What is it? It's a dimensional. Zach, what's a good word? Like, it's a blank of Brooklyn.
It's like a cross-dimensional. What's the word? What's the word for the different areas of, like, Brooklyn and New York, like
boroughs?
Cross-dimensional version or borough, I guess. Yeah, that borough would probably be right.
Yeah, Hyper Brooklyn is a borough that spans time and space or something.
Yeah.
Time and dimensions, or
It's surrounded by a force field.
Called the gloam. It is not just protected, but it is undetectable.
Yeah, you know what? The island, it becoming a floating island, and it having the gloam could be combined in a way, because regular Brooklyn's still on the ground, and the multi-dimensional version gets ripped up into the sky when it's created, and it just hovers above it. And that's when Hurricane puts the gloam over it to protect it and seal it off, to keep it from spreading. Maybe. I don't know.
To event called the Great Smushioning. Hyper Brooklyn contains all possible realities and must be surrounded by a force field called the gloam for safety. Is undetectable to normal citizens. Cool. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just put this in there, and I'm just gonna say, like, what's the proper thing? Rewrite this, recreate this, rewrite,
expand, maybe.
Rewrite and expand on this. All right. So watch this, Ramel. It's gonna knock your socks off.
Watch it not work.
Watch it not work. Exactly. All right. I would blow it up, but I don't want to screw it up. Okay, ready? Here we go. So I'm gonna hit the button. Let's see. All I want. We wrote something. Let's rewrite it and expand on it. Okay. So it says Hyper Brooklyn is a place unlike any other in the universe. It exists across all dimensions of time and space and contains within it every possible reality that could ever exist. This is due to a catastrophic event known as the Great Smushioning, which caused all realities to merge together within the confines of Hyper Brooklyn. To protect its inhabitants and the delicate balance of all these different realities coexisting within it, Hyper Brooklyn is surrounded by an invisible force field called the gloam. This force field is completely undetectable to normal citizens and serves as a barrier to keep out any external threats or disruptions that could potentially harm the various realities contained within Hyper Brooklyn. Despite its extraordinary nature and the challenges it faces in maintaining the cohesion of so many different realities, Hyper Brooklyn is a thriving, diverse community, home to people from all walks of life and every conceivable reality. It is a place of endless possibility and endless wonder, a true one-of-a-kind place that exists beyond the boundaries of our normal understanding of the universe.
Hot damn.
That's pretty good.
Fucking badass.
That's going to put me out of a job.
Thanks, Zach. No, pencils down, sir. No, I'm just kidding. So that's pretty up. Yeah. What does it say? The Great Smushing. Yep.
I see a lot of
Singularity.
people.
Got it. It. Okay. So that was you. Ramel went to the right. To the next
real quick, I got to step away for a sec to share something.
Yeah, no worries. Go take a piss. You're good.
I've seen so many people complain about AI, but if you're an artist or a writer and you don't start finding ways to integrate this into your workflow, you're done.
Yeah. So here's the fun part. We're gonna start. Let's start coming up with some multiple choice, because now we have a setting. We've got it. So KG says my socks are officially knocked off. Amazing.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's pretty awesome. So, but again, we've been testing with this. So we found keywords that really can help us play, because it's not about ChatGPT giving us just magic answers so we don't have to think about it. It's actually better as a tool, at least in my experience, as a tool for brainstorming and just like play. It's fun. So we're going to take, so here's my question for everyone, including UKG, including anyone else that's in chat, Galaxy, whoever's there. What is the Great Smushing? And so Ramel said the singularity. So that's one answer. What is the Great Smushing, guys?
Wasn't it caused by like a science experiment gone wrong? That
could be.
I think what we came up with was I think the idea was that it was a cult of some kind, and it was a hipster cult, like a bunch of Brooklyn hipsters. And if you ever met the actual Brooklyn hipsters, you probably know what I was talking about, because at least when I was there, being an Aleister Crowley was kind of like the being thing at the time. And they started worshiping a demon, and they were basically trying to open a gate to hell in Brooklyn, and they actually pulled it off. And I think the idea we had was that or it was a demon, or it might have been like something else. And the idea we came up with was that the Void came down from space and in order to hunt either the demon or whatever strange being that came through. And then the gate was opened. The gate to hell was opened, but Hurricane Steel had some weird device that put together by Stanwell, but it was basically experimental. No one knew how it would work, and basically when it was turned on, it closed the gate, but in the process, basically flattened all dimensions into one.
Okay.
I think that's the idea we came up with. Although I'm probably missing a lot of steps, because this was like 8 or 9 months ago.
Right, and we have it on. We actually have that. So these are good. So let's pop over into ChatGPT, and we're gonna say, let's see, based on the story above. And now again, it's not going to be super creative. I'm not expecting to be super creative, but we'll see. Based on the story above, create some options for what is the Great Smushing? So this might be a little hard for it, but we'll see. Does that sound like a good question before I hit it?
That seems reasonable. Yeah.
It seems. Sometimes it's hard to think in English, but okay. Here we go. Let's see what it says. Oh, I see. Ramel says Philadelphia experiment was the first plunder into multidimensional theory. Interesting. I have to look that up. So it says, here are a few possible options for what the Great Smushing could be. A massive reality warping event that caused all dimensions and realities to converge within Hyper Brooklyn, effectively merging them all together. So it literally just nailed what we were just talking about. A collision or convergence of multiple parallel universes, resulting in the merging of all different realities contained within them. A catastrophic disaster or crisis that caused the fabric of reality itself to become unstable, leading to the merging of all realities. An experiment gone wrong, where scientists or other individuals attempted to merge multiple realities together, or a supernatural or magical occurrence that brought together all realities within Hyper Brooklyn. Pretty awesome. Isn't that amazing?
Literally the things we talked about.
Literally the things we talked about, but it just made it multiple choice. We've got a massive reality warping event, a collision or convergence of multiple parallel universes, a catastrophic or disaster that caused a fabric reality itself to become unstable, an experiment gone wrong, or a supernatural or magical occurrence.
Okay, we can combine two of those actually.
Sure. Right?
Okay, Stanwell doing a scientific experiment, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's doing an experiment. At the same time, his hipster douchebag nephew has his stoner hipster buddies in the basement conducting that ritual. The two things happening at the same time, giving off energy.
Mm.
And it leads to something ridiculous.
Galaxy says so cool. So KG and Galaxy, if you guys have any ideas, feel free to like pop them in. So basically, what we want to do is we're going to create what I'm hoping to do is we can ask just some questions about Hyper Brooklyn and the area and sort of like what's going on, and we'll create these multiple choice questions. Some where we have answers, some where you guys in chat have answers, and then some from ChatGPT, and then everybody else in the AF community can kind of vote. We'll just, we'll pick like, 2, 3, 4 multiple choice questions per section, and we'll have the community vote on it, right? Because it all works. We've talked about all this stuff, so it's really cool. So yeah, feel free, guys. No pressure, of course, but if you want to jump in. And I know it's kind of hard to read because it's so small. I guess I can try to make it bigger. I'm a little worried about if I do that, it'll fuck it up. But all right, not too bad. There we go. How's that? Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. I had never tried that, so just want to make sure that we don't screw anything up. Cool. So that is a good that's a good way to go about it. So I think, let me read this to you. What about before we jump into the heroes and villains and the super people, what about the people? Hey, what's up, MK? How you doing? No worries, never late, always on time. We're using ChatGPT. We're going to be creating some multiple choice questions, and that way create a forum within Discord so that people can interact with the lore games all week long and help us come up with stories together, make it way more inclusive, and especially for people that can't just show up like magically at some certain time, because it's NFTs and Web3, so everybody is like all over the world. What about the humans that live inside of the Gloam? Like,
can I make a suggestion?
Yeah, of course.
I was just thinking about this literally from the beginning, but is it possible maybe to define some eras in the adult fantasy world? Like, we already know that Blood and Steel is like sword and sorcery meets aliens.
Mm-hmm.
And we know the modern world is kind of more superheroes, but maybe establish some previous eras that we can actually throw in and build off of. I like the idea of combining genres together, like sword and sorcery and aliens and superheroes, and I don't know what else is going on, but maybe establish some time periods before we jump into what we currently have, because it might actually inspire us going forward to bring something forward. Because I mean, we already know about the cult, and that's kind of like a Renaissance type of era, type of focus.
I don't mind doing that, but at least for right now, I think we should stick. I want see the deal is I want to like the challenge is I want to stick to present day just to kind of get some boots on the ground.
Okay.
Well,
Well, our first
we can fill it in, and so the World Bible is always changing and evolving. But if we can get a baseline, then we can update and change and modify.
Well, the only thing I was thinking of is the fact that the first story that we worked on was the prison one, and that was kind of a 70s era, you know, crap, I'm already forgetting the words. It's one of the reasons why you guys need to be here. And we thought about the 80s, the second book being an 80s era, and then the third book being a 90s modern era.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have the idea of like a Wild West story and the idea of like a, you know.
Well, that's the thing. I think to your point, Andrew, like that's in my mind, and I think what and correct group, everyone correct me if I'm wrong or if the idea is stupid, but the idea of having like all those dimensions kind of crossing time and dimensions crossing over at once means that you can do a Western, but it could be present day or it could be past, right? Because you could do a Western present day because a part of Hyper Brooklyn is a Western, or you could do a Western that took place 300 years ago, way back, you know, even before there should have been a Western, because another part of Brooklyn is actually in the future, right? So you can kind of play with that.
Well, that was the whole point of the DC and Marvel both like fussing around with multiverses themselves. I mean, it gave them a way to tell different stories of their characters without, you know, blowing up their continuity. So,
wow, is this kind of like we're building our own version of the New 52, where there's 52 different dimensions and like a Spider-Man multiverse where there's different versions of Spider-Man in every one? And
I wouldn't say it's that formal or set in stone. I'm thinking more on the lines of how, like with Superman, for example, you have like Superman Red Sun, which is actually in like Earth, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, versus I think there's a version of versus the version of the DC universe where Bruce Wayne is killed instead of his father, and it's his father who becomes Batman instead. You know, it's something
right.
Like,
that's the Flashpoint world, but yeah.
You're
okay.
Or something along those lines.
All right. Well, sorry to derail. Keep going, Todd.
No, you're good.
Going.
There's no derailing. It's really good. Let's do this. But since we're talking on the topic, let's talk about the city. Talk about Hyper Brooklyn. So, is it still a hustling and bustling city? Is it like completely empty and devoid of life? In my mind, what is I in my head, for some reason I keep seeing Blade Runner, like not in terms of like the whole city is cyberpunk, but in the amount of people. Like it's a, you know how like in futuristic cities there's like a million people on a million different levels, right? I kind of see that because of this multi-dimensional thing where there's just like an overlay of people where the whole city is almost like a Manhattan or like a Tokyo times 25 or something, like building almost like Kowloon walled city where it's just buildings everywhere.
I kind of have this, and this is a little bit contrary to what you said, but I kind of have this mental picture of, like, you know how, I know this isn't Brooklyn specifically, but if you go to like New York City, you have Chinatown, Little Italy. Be funny if it's like, okay, this area is in the 70s, you know, like it's like a 70s town, or this section, this little street is 200 years in the future, you know.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So have a Wild West town portion city.
Yeah,
Wild West,
absolutely,
which has been invaded by zombies. You know,
possible,
of course.
The under Brooklyn with the demons and vampires and all that is. You know, it'd be funny. One of my stories from a long time ago was Cornerstone, and and I always described it as a city in which vampires and werewolves and witches and zombies all lived in the city, and everybody kind of just accepted it. And like the whole idea was like you'd be walking down the street and somebody would say, "Look, there's a werewolf riding a unicycle," and somebody would say, "A unicycle where?" The idea
Right.
of a werewolf doesn't shock them at all, you know. I kind of imagine Hyper Brooklyn being one of those places where weird shit happens all the time, and the people that live there, it doesn't bother them, you know. It doesn't register. Maybe there's something happening. Maybe it's the gloam. Maybe it's the dome that they don't panic. They don't. It's not. If they all of a sudden there's a superhuman person walking through the city and like Ant-Man and Giant Man, they don't run in terror. It's like, oh my god, look at that. It's
Right.
not. I don't know. Maybe the whole place being very calm and mellow, or maybe the human population is calm. Maybe that's one of the. Maybe that has something to do with the psychiatrist from
Maybe.
our jail story. Maybe she's put some type of whammy on the entire city, and in order to keep everybody calm, while this crazy ass shit goes on around them.
Fair enough. I mean,
Oh,
it's
wow.
kind of like Star Wars Cantina, right? Where it's like weird shit goes on, but nobody thinks twice about it.
Yeah, because it's normal.
KG says almost a Westworld. Yeah, I like that.
What was the one? What was the one that DC did where it took different realities and merged them all together, and it was like a tapestry of different ones where if you cross the border, Marvel did the same exact thing with Secret Wars, where each like the Marvel Zombies had their own land, and then the Marvel 2099 had their own land, and then Logan, Old Man Logan had the Wasteland had their own land. I don't know how big the city is,
So,
but we could definitely establish some eras that are prevalent.
We've established that it's going to be very populated because of the number of people. And it also for our use. I mean, this is one of the things we worked really hard on, and I don't know if I think it'll shine eventually because we now that we're focusing on it. But one of the reasons we came up with the idea originally of having this kind of gloam thing and this multidimensional thing is to actually give a reason for why there are multiple NFT cards, like the characters, right? Like every card in the AFS one is generative because of the technology, but you also have like multiple devoids or multiple 344s, but there actually could be different ones just from different time periods or different dimensions kind of crossing over. Like they could all be unique that way, which is pretty interesting. What about the city? Like, so we it's got to be very populated, but what about communication? Like, is this do they have like power and communication with the rest of Manhattan and the quote unquote real world, or is it completely locked in? Like what is it?
Sorry.
Go for it.
I think the idea we also came there is that basically like Hyper Brooklyn was closed off, and Hurricane Steel was who was basically on the verge of being Deep Six from the military, was put in charge of a new and very underfunded government agency to basically keep it locked away from the rest of the universe so it didn't spread. So I think the idea was that it was basically like separate from the rest of the city. At least that's the idea we had, but I mean we never really had a chance to really develop it.
No, that's great. That's fine.
Yeah, but man, and then the reason why Steele had to have like all these crazy heroes working for him is because quite frankly he didn't have the budget to hire real professionals. So that's why he basically hires like crazies like the Devoid or Carl and why his arm is like basically a giant mass of tentacles.
Mm-hmm. Totally makes sense. Cool. So Ramel said something that I want to kind of touch on, and same thing. Galaxy, MK, KG, jump in whenever you want. The Ramel talked about segregation by social class, and it kind of makes sense. But so the first thing would be why, and I'm going to put out there that maybe there's a segregation because of, I mean, there's going to be a power segregation, and maybe because of, like he's saying, money. Yeah, like money and power. But I think in this context, what if, I'm just going to throw this out there, what if it wasn't necessarily, because of the way Hyper Brooklyn is and because it's condensed, what if it was more of like the quote unquote like lower class, right, or the proletariat or whatever we call the more of the segregated part actually lived near the bottom floors while the bourgeoisie rich people kind of lived above in the high-rise areas. Does that sound, Ramel?
Are you trying to make a political statement with your stories, or
not necessarily? I mean, maybe, right? Like kind of, but it's also, if you think about it from a logistics standpoint, like you know, most of the time, if you look at any modern, like classic comics, right? Certainly there would be some times where Superman would get punched through the center of a building or something, but that was kind of rare, right? What usually happens is that they're on the ground beating the crap out of each other, and it's the cars and the stores and the people on the ground that are getting tossed, right? So it might make sense that the people with more money want to be high, as they can't get away from it because there's nowhere to go if they're trapped except up, right? So there's fewer powerful people up at the top, you know, a few super people, right? So like, all right, so let me say,
and it's also, you know, you might actually be able to see the sky in like the upper levels, so it's more expensive.
Yeah, and the people from the less technologically advanced time periods are definitely going to be closer to the bottom.
that they live in the skyscrapers, get to see the sky. As far away from supers, whatever soups, as safe as they can be, power and money. And then lower, and I don't, we need to have some, we can come up with some names for this. Are people from different time periods, Avery? Older time periods?
Yeah, if they're from an older, less technically advanced time period, they're going to be closer to the bottom. You know, unless they were filthy rich for their time period, but still, that's not going to make them as rich as and as powerful as the people from older one.
MK says, isn't that what they did in Fifth Element? You know, that actually is a good point. I think that might have been what they did. Yeah. They spell fifth Element. Yeah, that was actually probably one of my favorite parts. Now that I think about it, I didn't really think about it until you mentioned it, but yeah. What do you? Is there any? I guess we can kind of we can come up with names later.
Actually, in Fifth Element, though, people like Bruce Willis's, even though he was just a cabbie, his apartment was way up off the ground. It was way up there, but it was like he lived in his apartment was the size of a closet.
Yeah.
If Hyper Brooklyn is multi-dimensional, what if instead of being segregated, like kind of in a more traditional sense, kind of how it is now where all the rich people live up at the top of the buildings, what if they were segregated into dimensions, right? Some of the dimensions were like really shitty, and that's where they threw all the poor people, and you know what I mean, like that.
Right. Like also
kind of like Futurama.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
All the mutants and poor people were thrown into the sewer system.
Yeah, but we could have some fun with that also. Like, for example, we could say like say in a neighborhood like Williamsburg, which is one of the top neighborhoods in Brooklyn right now. It still is. God knows why. For example, like there's like different dimensional layers. So in one dimension, it's like where all the we're all which is like where all the stereotypical gangsters live. Like the mafia, et cetera, et cetera. You go up one more dimension, then it's like pure hipsterville, where it's basically a bunch of people with like elaborate mustaches and weird clothes, trying to be cooler than now. Then there's then there's like the dimension of the actual working class who keep everything running, and then there's a dimension of like the rich, and in that dimension, basically, the neighborhood's all like really overpriced condos, artisanal cheese shops, and like tall gleaming towers with separate entrances for the poor, which by the way actually exist in real life.
So here's a question: If I'm rich and I'm living in this upper part, like, how does that change architecture or access? So, for instance, I'll give you an example. So, in the city in Manhattan and Brooklyn, you've got fire escapes, right? And of course, it's because you want to escape a fire, you got to get out. But that also means that people can get in, right?
Easy subways.
Right. Well, what I'm saying is, like, would they have destroyed the fire escapes? Do they care? Or there's only one way in, one way out? Are they trying? If you're super rich, do you ever want to touch the ground? Like, I'll give you an example in Atlanta, and when I was living in Atlanta, there was a building next to me, and it was like this. I don't know who designed it, but it was crazy. Basically, though, you would go in the building, and under the ground they had a private mall only for people that worked in that building, and in between where the underground garage was, and the building, which was across the street, in that little area there were like there was a few restaurants, there were places to do your laundry, there were like all these things that nobody ever knew about. It was only for the people that worked there, and it was really, of course, so that people just keep working and they don't leave. But they never really had to touch the ground. Like, they could drive in to the parking deck, and then they'd be in their office, and then they go into the restaurants, and they never had to, like, they never put foot on the ground. So I'm wondering if you're the Jeff Bezos of this new dimension, or a dimension, or this area, like, are you doing anything with your upper area skyscraper penthouse? Like, how divided is it? Or are they just like, fuck it, and they go down to the ground level and go to the bodega?
I have kind of a related thought to that.
Yeah.
So what if the dimensions that are like the physical location of the dimensions are changing all the time? Like, whole neighborhoods are popping in and out of existence, and because everything is stacked together, they're constantly having to like, oh shit, the western area disappeared. We need to shore up all of our buildings in that area so they don't fall apart because this whole section is gone. And so, like, in the lower levels, things are always falling apart. In the upper levels, they have the technology and the money for that technology to stabilize the dimensions. So they don't have to deal with any of that stuff. So all the architecture in the upper floors is super regular and, multi-dimensional, but almost normal. And everything in the lower dimensions are just completely duct taped together, ramshackled, kind of that Kowloon Walled City reference that you made earlier,
Kind of reminds me of scenes from the movie Dark City, where they kept resetting things. But in this case, it wouldn't be something that was being controlled, or maybe it is, where all of a sudden areas of the city are being merged together. That's why you have zombies in the Wild West, and demons coming up through Chelsea.
Yeah.
I mean,
1 week the plague dimension shows up.
Yeah, that might be kind of cool. That'd be a lot to play with there. Flint, did you ever see Dark City?
I'm gonna plead the
Fuck
fifth.
it, I'm done. God damn. Dark City is a freaking awesome movie.
It is. It is a very underrated. Dark City had made the mistake, It's brilliant, but it made the mistake of coming out the same weekend as The Matrix.
Very close to that time frame, yes.
Yeah, like right around the same time. So it was like no contest. Ooh, Void Pockets. What? MK for the win. Void Pockets. I like that. So those are the dimensions that can shift and disappear.
I like it. It's like a hot pocket, only way worse.
Right, because instead of like a pocket universe, it's like a void pocket. I like pockets. The word pocket is it's got a nice ring to it. All right, cool. So we kind of understand somewhat about the people. Are there like they accept their situation? They're kind of stuck there. There's stacks, so there's a lot of people.
Well,
Are there any? Yeah, is there anyone coming in or out from outside of?
Well, I'd say two things. Well, first off, remember that the whole idea behind the Great Smushing is that all possible versions of the people there have been compressed into one.
Right.
So I'd say that that probably their attitude, they probably accept it at this point because I don't know. I mean, we'd have to think about the psychological impact of that. But
you're talking about compressed into one. You're not talking about compressed into one person.
Yeah, I think that's the idea behind it. Like every possible version of themselves was like combined into one person, which is why you have heroes or people who are like superheroes.
Oh, interesting.
So we'd have to think about the psychological effects of that. I'd say that they're probably as content as can be considering the situation. And as far as people going in, I mean, if we're sticking with the idea that Hurricane Steel controls at least one access point in and out, but I think the idea we had was that there were other access points that he didn't have control over, and that I think we're also talking with the idea that Hyper Brooklyn was also being used as a dumping ground for every superpowered lunatic in the real world, or every alien invader who decided to like take a crack at Earth. They subdue them and basically chuck them through the portal. So I suppose people will be coming in. I mean, if nothing else, it'll be a way for us to generate new heroes.
Well, and this also ties in, Dusty, to our world where we've been smuggling in characters, right?
Yeah.
I think that works pretty well. You could. Cool. Let's talk about sort of like the heroes and villains. So in AF, the idea of good guys and bad guys are kind of ambiguous, and on purpose. But each thing has their own like drive, right? So we should talk about sort of the main like vibe, and maybe if we wanted to start coming up with some factions, that might be cool too. Let's see, like we've got heroes and villains. I mean, that's kind of like I said, it's kind of a good guys, bad guys. It's kind of ambiguous. It's more about like factions and allegiances, right? Let's see. I'll just type factions, allegiances. Interesting. I'm gonna come back to factions and allegiances, but something that's popped in my head is like really like things like things like clothing, and technology and money, like things that a society would have, are kind of going to be all over the place, right? Because or is it not? Is it, do we want to, like, things like weapons? I guess the question that I have is, we could do one of two things. We could either have it where it's like all over the map, because people in the Western side are going to have different clothing and tech and money and weapons than the people in the area that's like, ritzy, uptown, cyberpunk. But then the other way to look at it is, this is still a city, and there is still a mayor, and there's still laws, and everybody abides by them. So you could have modern clothing with modern tech, modern money, and modern weapons across.
Yeah.
Like this is when you have like your Western story where the cowboy pulls out like a semi-automatic or something, like, or some giant 90s laser cannon, right? And is like checking the web while, kind of like a weird cyber. You could do some really strange stuff with this.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Your Uber driver literally might be a cowboy, because
right. Well, that's the thing. You could, right.
That's what he does for a job. He pulls up to give you a ride, and he's on a horse.
Right.
Just an Uber with a horse. That's kind of great.
Yeah, and it's it's a cowboy with a smartphone going, "Are you Jeff?"
A cowboy zombie. Come on.
I'm Jebediah. Hop on my horse.
Right. So, like, what do you think? Is there a standard? Again, if you're dealing with like superhero stuff, I feel like we've kind of established that they're superpowered beings, but they're also normal people. Yeah. Ramel says swords and revolvers.
Maybe it's kind of like DC Universe, in which you have the majority of the stories are superheroes, but you also have Vertigo, and you have adult-oriented stuff with vampires and demons and stuff like that.
Right.
It's still a focus, but the generation that we're dealing with is the superhero generation.
Right. So the superhero, because we have characters that are kind of powered, they kind of wear whatever the hell they want, right? It's more of like a superhero attire. I don't know how to describe, because it's not really super. It's not like they're all wearing like tights and stuff, but let's just say whatever costume feels right.
Well, I think one of the things that it's kind of a allegory comment on culture, is that maybe everybody in the city, no matter how lowly they are or how different they are, everybody has a cell phone.
Or a communicator.
But some type of cellular device. Maybe that's one of the ways the psychiatrist and her group can reach out to everybody and keep everybody so calm. Maybe you get a daily reminder to stay calm or something like that. But everybody has a phone. Everybody has some type of receiving device, no matter whether you're a demon from hell or a zombie cowboy. You have something.
Now, this is a question for Flint. If we have dimensions that are like blipping out of existence, does that fuck up the internet? Sounds funny, but it's a good question, right? Like, is it like, is electricity working and like internet working enough to where they can have this, or is the technology going to be kind of like cobbled together with like fucking whatever Like, is it so advanced that it just looks cool and it works, or is it actually like cobbled together from fucking parts?
I mean, potentially, it could fuck up the internet in some ways. It just depends on what it. I won't get into it, but it depends on like where your servers are at.
What if the gloam powers the electricity to the entire city, but it also gives the communication and the internet to everyone? As long as the gloam is up, everybody has power, everybody has communication. Maybe that's one of the reasons for it. You know? I almost imagine the gloam to be like a life raft, to being like Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
You know, to protect the civilization within it. But the negative effect of using the gloam is the squishing of all the different realities. You know, maybe the intent was to protect the city and as many humans as possible from what was going to happen, what was coming, which we know is the primordial. But when it was turned on and activated, it caused a rift in dimensions, causing all these different dimensions from all these different cities to like compound on top of each other.
Yeah, but it caused the rift because his douchebag nephew was doing the satanic ritual at the same time.
Well, what wasn't one of the storylines about Stanwell breaking up with Pink Wasp and kind of flipping the switch and saying, "Fuck it, I don't care what happens. I'm leaving the universe anyway." Because it was untested. It was something that was supposed to save all of mankind, and it was completely untested. So
MK Chrono said Nikola Tesla style. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Oh yeah.
Because he wanted to do like free electricity. He would like wanted to broadcast electricity.
This could be another allegorical story. Hey, we're going to give you free electricity and free healthcare and free college education, but you're trapped in the city and you can never leave. Right. You have to do what we say. You're stuck here for the rest of your life. But hey, y'all get a college education on us.
Is money a thing? They all use Bitcoin.
Well, I think money would have to be a thing. Otherwise, there would be nothing for super villains to steal.
I heard they're all using Bonk.
But they're all using Bonk.
There's so many monetary systems across the different time periods that they standardize with freaking Ethereum. Or
wouldn't it be funny if every story, the currency that everybody's using changes? Like one day it's Bitcoin, the next day it's ETH, the next day it's something else.
Yeah.
Or we could say they're using a.
Or we could do like what they did in Blade Runner, where in Blade Runner, the language that everybody spoke was mostly, it was like Korean or something, or Japanese. Is they merged it with English because of the fact that the influence of the Asian world, it became more of an English / Asian.
Kind of like Firefly too.
Yeah. Yes, exactly like Firefly. That's another good example. Yeah.
Ramel said that quality of clothes reflects social status.
Oh, I didn't realize he was putting in the private chat.
Yeah.
Oh hell.
Your fingerprint is your wallet. Oh, that's dope.
Your eyeballs. Your urine. And if you can't get it up, then you're not gonna get something. I'm sorry.
You have to get it up to pee, Andrew? I don't understand. Please explain.
Back to the hula dancing. Woo, 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 woo.
Those usually interfere with. Never mind.
Oh God.
Let me give you go get some water. I'll be right back.
No worries. Cool. And the same kind of thing with weapons. Is it's going to be like kind of whatever you got, because it can be taken from any dimension. Hey, Dr. Funk, what's up, man? Welcome. Says, yo, sorry I'm late. What's good, yo? We're chilling, man. We're adding on to our World Bible. We're going to be releasing this publicly, and what we're doing, although we needed it, we started with it, but we just kind of been brainstorming right now. Is we started to use ChatGPT to reform phrases. And so what we're going to do is we're coming up with some answers, and then what we're going to do is formulate questions based on these answers. And probably just because of time, we won't do it live. Although I did a demo of how it can be done with ChatGPT, but we'll formulate questions based off of what we come up tonight, and come up with some multiple choice, some of which will come from ChatGPT, and then we're going to have we'll push that out into AF Discord this week, hopefully tomorrow or Saturday, and that'll give us a whole week for everyone to kind of pitch in and come up with ideas and feedback and add things and take things away and choose, and then we can next Thursday when we jump on this again, we'll have our answers and we can move on to the next step. And I think this is going to be a really good way for all of us to kind of jump in and be able to create stories on an ongoing basis, because I know a lot of people can't just magically jump in on camera and then into and watch the video like at a specific time. So I want everyone to participate, right? I don't want to just be like, oh, I can't participate because I can't show up. MK says fingerprint as wallet is great. What if you earn credits based off of actually doing jobs and it just sits based off of your fingerprint, whether or not you have credits to do anything? Ooh, I like that for a multitude of reasons. Let's see. I like that for a multitude of reasons. You earn credit based off of doing jobs, and it just sits based off your print. I know I'm misspelling everything, but that's okay. Whether or not you have credits to do anything. Okay. Cool. Then he says, no banks, just credits, flat fine. Oh, I like that too. No banks, just credits. But in fact, if you wanted to be all like, if you wanted to have a subtle political point, not that I'm trying to make subtle political points, but you could have it where most of the people don't use banks, but the rich do. And then you actually are setting up down the road a storyline where the banks collapse and the rich are fucked, right? Or something. I don't know. That might be too, like, I don't know, too heated, but could be interesting.
It would be kind of funny too if it wasn't your fingerprint, but something way more annoying, like you had to blow into a breathalyzer or some stupid thing, just like this
Pluck out a
really
hair.
annoying thing.
Breathalyzer.
Yeah, provide a hair sample.
Earlobe.
Yeah, just like pull out a nose hair.
A nose hair. Oh my god, that would suck.
That would suck so hard. It's like everyone's like ripping shit out of their nose to pay for like some bananas at the grocery store.
Oh, I'm thinking worse. Sorry, I'm not.
Oh
gonna
dear.
Oh no.
Oh, Andrew. What about
Gooch recognition scanner.
anyway? Avery.
Adult fantasy. It's not what you think.
Yeah. We're not. Gooch recognition. Oh my god.
A perfectly
Look at
bald
Romel's
man,
thinking about it. He's like, yeah, I like that.
perfectly bald man goes into the grocery store and in order to pay has to reach down his pants.
Anyway, weapons.
and pluck a pube.
Ooh.
I wasn't gonna say it.
Wait. I gotta back up. MK just said something that's pretty dope. He said the rich collect fingers. That would be interesting.
Oh yeah, that's not.
That reminds me of that one with the movie with what's his name? Justin Timberlake?
The time.
The Time one? Yeah.
Yeah, I never watched it.
Yeah. It was good. I think Romel's agreeing with me.
You just said it was good and it had Justin Timberlake in it.
Well, no, it also had what's her name in it, which was the reason why I
can't-
watched it. So.
Read his lips. Sane. Ian Candy.
Wait. Let's try to guess what he's saying. Do it again, Romel. Do it again. Come on.
He's weird waiting for it.
Come on.
Ian Tam.
The cherry Pop-Tarts.
Star Wars.
What's up with that?
Wait, hold on. You have a
Cherry
mute button, man.
Pop-Tarts.
Just go ahead and
Come
say it.
on.
Just go ahead and say it. You're unmuted. You're unmuted. You're good. Say words.
It was In Time. In Time was
Oh, In Time. Why
I like
did
mine.
Cherry Pop-Tarts. I don't know. It was cherry something.
Anyway, check the chat. Check the chat for my last comment.
Yep, I just put it out. And everyone wears gloves to prevent identity fraud, 2-factor authentication, fingerprints, and retinal signature. That's dope. He's coming. Romel just came back on MK to come up with a 2FA to protect against rich people stealing fingers. Because now they need fingers and eyeballs. Interesting. What about weapons? I guess that's kind of all over the map as well because it's going to be across time.
Yeah, you're going to have everything from flintlock to lasers.
Yeah, I imagine there's some smuggling happening from like the richer areas to like the western areas getting laser weapons and
Yeah.
That's kind of cool to think that you could have like this. You could have this turn of the century, Depression era, Chinatown corner, but they're like sitting there with like cable style rocket launchers and shit.
Yeah.
Well,
or you've got a cyborg with a blunderbuss.
Oh yeah.
What was the movie with Bruce Willis where they had futuristic weapons, but they all got paid in like gold bars and silver bars or something?
Zach just got busted. I think the story was about him. Dr. Funk says, that reminds me of a very real news story. This guy was pulled over, and after the cops made him get out of the car, a bunch of cow eyeballs fell out of his pant leg. He said he told the cop he worked at a meat plant, and he took the eyeballs to, quote, make soup.
Yep, that's what I would do with the eyeballs.
Okay. I mean, I guess that makes sense. I mean, what do you do if you're a cop? I'd be like, all right, I guess. I mean, it's nothing.
I mean,
yeah, Andrew, the movie you're talking about with Bruce Willis is Looper.
Yes,
Looper.
Yep,
that's right.
It's like they use the eyeballs in ground beef. I mean, why was he taking them for soup? I think he was taking them for something else.
All right. You guys still good? I mean, you want to go for another 30 or another 20?
I think we're good. I think we established a lot this evening.
Oh, you mean good as in you want to quit?
What did I tell you I was going to do as soon as we were done?
Well, you're going to go to bed. No,
Right.
I totally get it. If you guys want to, let's take a vote. Totally cool. If you want to move on, keep going for another 20, or should we just call it?
I think we've got enough to get started.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. I think, and it's good we stick to our new normal time anyway, because I could do this all day. So, awesome. Dr. Funk says Looper was good. Yeah, it was a really good. Awesome, guys.
Really enjoyed it.
Romel says whatever, maybe. Cool. So here's what we're gonna do. Awesome game night, guys. So what we're gonna do is let me pop back here. So what we'll do is I will, Dusty and I primarily will take this and we'll wrap it up, kind of make it a little more succinct from these notes. And then what we'll do is we'll come up with some questions similar to like what we were asking to come up with some answers. We'll ask the exact same questions into Chat GPT, get a bunch of like printouts, basically some options that we probably didn't think of. And then in Discord, we'll have a voting system to be like, hey, everyone, we're doing the World Bible. Here's what we talked about, A, B, C, or D. And then, of course, we'll have areas. If you have other ideas that are not on there, of course, we want to hear them. But that way we can have that kind of progress. And so that next week we have the answers, we have some stuff tied down, and we move on to the next section of the World Bible. I don't think the World Bible will take too long. It's not going to take too many plays. But once we get it done, it's super important, right? So next week we'll talk about factions and some other things about like how the heroes and the super.
Well, speaking as I think we should avoid the temptation of trying not to get too detailed, because we want to leave ourselves enough room within the world to actually tell stories.
Sure. As
those stories go, things may have to change. So just leave it
totally. We don't want to get. It's not about getting super nailed down. It's about setting up everything so that anyone can create a story. Like if I was to ask you, like, well, what about the police in this world? Like we haven't figured that out yet, right? So it's really just about like, okay, well, what about the police or the mayor or the government? Like what's it kind of like?
I think the police it would be really cool if it was a combination of like Judge Dredd and I guess Judge Dredd, but even more homicidal and even more homicidal and unhinged and quite possibly corrupt and incompetent.
Sure, but that's what I mean. Like, perfect. But we'll talk more about that next week. And really, once we have a couple more things, we'll be pretty much done and we'll be good to go. I think. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. I think we kicked off 2023 Lore Games with a bang. It's awesome. Love you guys. Dr. Funk, MK, KG, Galaxy, everybody that showed up tonight. Thank you guys so much. Everyone that's watching at home, appreciate you as always. Love you guys. We're going to be over in Discord. We'll look out for this. It's going to take us a little time to kind of put it in a document. I'll try to my best to have it to you guys tomorrow. If not, then I'll try my best to have it to you guys, over the weekend or Monday. Either way, we'll have plenty of time to vote and play with it for next week's Lore Games. So with that, everybody, love you all. Take care. God bless. And peace out. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.